All right, now I just clicked record. Okay. Well, people that are watching via YouTube, you're just now tuning in as I've uploaded this, but I forgot to click record, but all you missed was some of the early preambles, so nothing significant or important. We were just catching up people on Twitch about what it is that we normally do on these live streams, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably know that already. So, we were going to kick off with what has happened in the world since our last live stream, because that was back in early January that we last did a live stream, and of course it is now well into April. So what's happened in the world since we last said hi?
Lurg.
Lurg.
Lurg is taking over. That's British slang for just general illness, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. So at the start of January, I actually went off to Thailand, and I went there at the start of January. It was actually to kick off what I normally do once a year, which is a 2-week Chinese New Year sailing and diving trip. And so I was out there for 2 weeks, sailing around between Phuket and the Butang Islands, which is south of there. And as we were out sailing around, we started to get news that there was a pandemic, or I should say at that point it was an epidemic breaking out in China. So the first time we were hearing of this, we were actually out on the boat in Thailand, and we're bobbing around, and I started hearing that China was like locking down cities. And I thought, that's not good. I think that's going to be something that we should keep an eye on. And people are asking me, like, what's going on? Are you okay? What's the story? And I was saying to people very early on, look, if China is going as far as to lock down entire cities, this is serious. Like, they wouldn't just close down their whole economy for the fun of it. And of course, I was in touch with Martin back in Shanghai. What were you seeing in Shanghai as this was happening?
Um, it was kind of weird. It's I mean, we've all seen the news about the rest of the world now. There's like empty supermarkets, there's fighting over toilet roll, there's panic. None of that happened here. It was just a very slow shutting down of stuff. But people just generally got on with life. I
Hmm.
mean, everyone was wearing a mask and everything was kind of closed down, which didn't feel that weird because that's what happens during Chinese New Year anyway.
That's right.
But it lasts for a lot longer.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
it
the
was
strange part is like
a
China's.
little, I was just going to say, it's a little different than what's happening in the rest of the world, it seemed.
Well, China has had this experience in the past with SARS, and so has Southeast Asia. So I think to some degree they kind of had a mental preparedness that a lot of places don't normally wouldn't have. Like if you were in the U.S., you wouldn't have been through an epidemic like this before. You wouldn't have known like, hey, we all got to start putting on our masks and we got to do social distancing. So yeah, I think China psychologically was already prepared to some degree, but even then, like if you had any sense of history or like what China's done in previous epidemics, I mean this whole closing down of entire cities, and I mean at some point the number reached 700 million people who were under lockdown in China. And meanwhile, I was watching the news coming out of the US, and basically people were saying like, oh, it's nothing to worry about, it's just the flu. And I thought that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If it's just the flu, I don't think that China would be reacting as severely. And I remember seeing news reports where people in the US specifically were saying, oh, this is terrible. China's reaction to this is draconian. They kept using the word draconian quite a lot. And yet now you see that the US has had to adopt pretty much the same types of policies of telling people to stay home and then also arresting people who are violating the lockdown. And of course, we have seen some of the kind of negative aspects of people hoarding stuff and fighting. And of course, I'm seeing these days even more terrible stuff like these giant food lines where people are lining up to get free food from the government because a lot of people are out of work and a lot of people don't have money to spare for something like this. So it's been pretty crazy. I did upload a video showing when I was able to come back from Thailand, what that was like in terms of getting back into China in the midst of all this. Um, But you haven't really had to deal with it much other than just putting a mask on and going about normal everyday life.
Yeah, I've not really encountered any like measures per se. I mean, there was a time, probably going back, I mean, it stopped now, but there was a time where, I mean, you got your temperature taken everywhere you went.
Right.
So I went to Starbucks, I went to the supermarket. Coming back into my compound when I'd been out, there would be a guard, let me take your temperature, write down your phone number. Okay, in you go.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, it was a little unusual, but there was nothing that I would consider like crazy ass draconian type martial law situation. Like we just said, people over here just kind of got on with things.
Hmm. Well, I think that's the experience in Shanghai, but a lot of people will tell you that Shanghai isn't China. It's one of the few what's called a first tier city in China, which means that it's got a much more international vibe to it. And so as a result, I think even in a situation like this, they tend to have a different approach. Now, if you look at some of the epicenters like Wuhan, people, of course, were complaining that what they were doing in terms of lockdowns there was much more stringent. People were basically being locked into their apartments almost as if they were in jail. I'm glad we
Yeah.
avoided that kind of stuff. But in the midst of all this, I was out doing Pirate Jam. So that was one of the reasons that I ended up staying in Thailand for so long after my Chinese New Year trip. One, I didn't want to come back home and risk getting the people in my house sick, nor did I want to get thrown into quarantine. But two, we had been planning for Pirate Jam 2020 for going on, a year since the last Pirate Jam. If you don't know what Pirate Jam is, this is the webpage for it. Basically, we get a bunch of game developers together, we put them on board sailboats in Thailand, and we sail around for 10 days, and they make games, and we make videos of the whole adventure. It's a lot of fun. This is our fourth year, and going into it, I already kind of had a sense that, like, in Chinese, I don't know, language, mythology, whatever, the number four is generally considered to be a negative number. Like you'd have the number 13 in Western culture. So four is sort of like the number 13 for Chinese people, right? So I thought, all right, fourth year, for sure someone's going to get like really badly injured or die this year. So I was already thinking, I'm nervous about the fourth year. And then this pandemic kicks off and we started having guests. Like we had guests canceling like crazy. By the end of it, we lost 10 out of 23 guests. So we ended up with only 13 people participating. One of the crazy things is that one of the groups that was meant to attend, and they were a sponsor, they're from Sweden, they canceled, and it was a group of 5 of them. And then after the event, we got through Pirate Jam. It was fine. No one was hurt. No one died. But then we got through, and they emailed me once I was back in Shanghai and said that they had got coronavirus in Sweden while we were out during Pirate Jam. So that's crazy.
Yeah, but it still went off without a hitch, pretty much. And there were some great videos that came out of it, and some of the games were pretty swish.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, go over. I don't know if you showed it on the stream. I can't see,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, the actual Pirate Jam 2020 page, full of videos and some games. So everyone go and check it out.
Yeah, so they are up there, pirate-jam.com. This is the kickoff meeting, which we held on Phuket. And again, we had about 12, 13 people came. And then we went out on the boats. We had seven boats this year. Some really big catamarans and other interesting boats. And we sailed around Phang Nga Bay, which is what you can see on the screen here now. And then this was one of our guests, Andrew. He actually won. So we did a Pirate Jam pre-jam skirmish. That's what these coins that we're giving away today are from, these doubloons. He was the one that he won the event, the pre-jam skirmish. And so he won free airfare to come to Pirate Jam. But as you can see from the picture on my screen, he was the only person on his flight coming over because by the time we were kicking off, everyone else in the world was locking down. So this is a picture from his flight coming over, and it was the same for most people coming over. They were all on empty airplanes, and then a lot of people who were, when they were going back home, they were reporting that either their flights were being canceled, or that they, when they did get on their flights were all empty. So one of the things that was quite lucky though was that we actually got the event done and everyone got out of Thailand before they locked down, because now China has completely closed its borders. Thailand has closed its borders. In Thailand right now, they've even closed down the borders between the provinces. So if you were to try to travel, say, from Krabi to Phang Nga, or into Bangkok or something, you wouldn't actually be able to do that. So we managed to have the event and get out, and survive, and did it just in time.
You did come back just in time, didn't you? I mean, it was probably less than a week before you coming back and the borders closing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was 1 week. We came back, and then actually the very next day they started mandating quarantine. And then after the mandated quarantine, there was just a complete lockdown of the flights coming into and out of China. They announced that it was only going to be one flight per country per week, I think. And then a few days after that, Thailand closed their borders completely as well. So pretty crazy. This was me. I'm embarrassed to share this, but I must. This is me dressed up as. What's that?
I can guess what picture you're showing.
Yeah, I was the daughter of somebody in this murder mystery. So we had a pirate themed murder mystery during the event. And so I had shoved some sticky balls or something into my shirt there and dolled up. And yes, I don't make a very attractive woman, I have to say. But that was what happened, because we lost, of all the guests that we lost six of our female guests, and so I had already purchased this murder mystery, and in order to re-wangle it so that it has fewer guests, you have to pay more money. And so then the other option was just to enlist the pirate, our captains, our skippers, and to join in. And also then we had to assign a lot of the female roles to the boys. So if you want to see that stuff, you want to see me in a dress, and you want to see some of our skippers dressed up as ladies, then go watch the Pirate Jam videos. But yeah, we had a good time. I think this picture I've got on screen now, this is the last night after we'd done the awards ceremony. So everybody's there that attended the event, and some of our skippers are there as well. And yeah, it was good. We made some great games. Everybody had a really good time, and I'd say that we did that despite all the uncertainty and all of the chaos. I was really glad that we managed to pull it off. It was, for sure, it was the most stressful of these events that I've ever managed. But I was really glad that we powered through it, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, excellent stuff.
We're gonna have to get you out there sometime, Martin. You can't keep hiding at home.
Maybe
Mhm.
Pirate Jam 2021.
Maybe. Let's see if there's gonna be a Pirate Jam 2021. It just depends on whether or not we all survive the nonsense that's going on. But if you do come along, then I hope that we can also get you in a dress. This was one of our skippers, Phil, and we had put him in this dress during the murder mystery, and he was having too much fun. Like, he came over to me at one point, quite drunk, and said, "Boy, I have to tell you, you got me in this dress, and it's got me a little bit turned on." Terrible. So Phil in a dress, but then what happened? This was from the next morning, and he put the dress on again, which is a sure sign that he was really enjoying the dress a bit too much. Yeah.
Probably nice to wear a dress out in Thailand. Nice and breezy, cool you down a bit.
I suppose. I mean, Thailand does have what are called katoi, or as the world knows them, ladyboys. So that's the sort of gender fluid, boys that are girls type of thing And so it's a very accepting culture of the idea of men in dresses. I don't know how much they're interested in seeing Farang or foreigners dressed up like that, but certainly within their own culture, they have a concept of ladyboys, and it's fairly well accepted. So I suppose if you were going to do that in anywhere in the world, that might be the place to do it. Right. We
Yes,
have
so
a question. Um, First of all, Truth Decay says, "Do you intend to get Streamlabs and donations set up for Twitch?" No super chats up in here. Well, Truth Decay, one of the things we have to decide is going to be if Twitch is our new home. Martin, you got a bit of feedback from some of our YouTube supporters. Is that what they're called? Can you tell me what that was about?
um, most of the people, I mean, when we posted on Patreon that we were giving Twitch a try, in fact, most of them suggested Twitch when we were complaining about the YouTube nonsense. They seemed pretty up for it, but it was actually Truth Decay. I got it right here as a question. It's about the people who were basically members or supporters on YouTube. And, if we move to Twitch, what's going to happen there? What what can we do for them?
Right. Well, that's a question. So back to Truth Decay's question about getting everything set up. So as someone else just said here, it looks like it'd be pretty easy for us to achieve this affiliate status, so that we could get super chats and whatnot. I think that's right based on my view of what's required. So yeah, I think we're going to just have to make the decision, and then I think the decision is largely also dictated by you, the viewers, because I don't want to abandon a bunch of people over who we built up as an audience on YouTube. But I need to make it clear that YouTube support and the new YouTube Studio interface has completely hosed us. I've been wrestling with them now for quite some time, like multiple days on the current issue, but multiple days previously as well, about the fact that as an international YouTube streamer and using a VPN, the interface is completely busted for us. Like there's just no way to even click the button to select the time. And they're not listening to what we're saying about what's broken. And so as a result, I may not have any option but for us to come over to Twitch full time. And I think today's stream is going to be a bit of a test. Like, does it go smoothly? In the past, we couldn't stream to Twitch because we couldn't get the bit rate that we needed, but it appears that we have it, so knock on wood. And as long as our insane children are okay with it, then maybe we'll just come over here and make this our home. So you let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Got a couple of things in the chat. One of them is quite funny. From Midnight Marco, why is the stream 1080p only? It's not only. That's like a miracle to stream from China over VPN. I mean, thank your lucky stars it's not 720p or less.
Yeah. Well, why do you need to see us in 4K anyway? We're just two old dudes.
You'll see how terribly old and tired we are.
Yeah. So I see that I am ma'am asked, is Starbucks really the posh stuff in China? Because here in Australia, we mock Starbucks. So many great cafes making beautiful coffee and selling beans. Even making coffee at home with a good setup is better than Starbucks. Yeah, so we also like to mock Starbucks, but you have to remember that Starbucks, back 15 years ago, there wasn't any place really to get coffee. And then Starbucks opened their first restaurant or their first outlet here. There is now a Starbucks literally on every corner, and oftentimes there's more than one Starbucks on a corner. They've also opened up these roasteries. Like, these things are incredible. If you go Google image Shanghai Starbucks roastery, I think that's what it's called, you will not believe how posh that is. It's absolutely insane. And they will charge you.
Is it still the biggest one in the world? The
Yes.
biggest Starbucks?
Yeah. And it got to be such a status symbol that people would pay out bonuses to their employees using Starbucks gift cards. So that was a very common. I even did it. Like, you'd give your employees Starbucks bonus gift cards, because to go and sit down at a Starbucks and drink a Starbucks for a long time here in China was a major status symbol. Because you know, to pay $5 or $6 for a cup of coffee, or if you go to that roastery, you can easily pay $10 for a cup of coffee, and I think they charge like $12 for one of their chocolate stuffed croissants. Now, it tastes like $12 croissant. It's not a joke. It is unbelievably good. I cannot believe I could say that you could justify a $12 croissant, but they literally have a croissant that is so good you could justify it as such. So, yeah. Yes.
Right.
So yes, it is super posh here. But there's also lots, since Starbucks found such massive success, and there's this massive and growing middle class. There are a ton of people who followed on and started up kind of competitive coffee makers, and they do make much better coffee. One in particular that we really like is called Manor Coffee, and the coffee at Manor is cheaper than Starbucks, and it is unbelievably good. So there are competitors, and there's better coffee places.
I'm a fan of Pete's coffee. It's
Well,
actually
that's
more expensive, but even me as a non-coffee connoisseur, I can taste the difference. And I'm like, this stuff's good.
yeah. Pete's is an old school California. I think they're from Berkeley coffee. So when I lived in Montclair, which is above Oakland, then we used to go to Pete's all the time. That place is quite good. Cursed Arachnid says, "Oh, I want to ask. I had some 100 plus viewers earlier, and I wanted to give you a raid, but you have that blocked." Yeah, so I turned off raids just because it sounded bad. I didn't know what a
What's
raid
that?
was. What?
This a fancy Twitch thing that all the kids are raving about? What's a raid?
Apparently, somebody could give us a bunch of viewers if we had raids turned on. And
Oh.
that means that their viewers could come over and watch whatever it is we're doing here. But since I turned raids off, I apparently have made it impossible for somebody to send their viewers to us. So sorry about that.
Well, we're learning.
What's that?
We're learning. We don't know all Twitch's ins and outs yet.
We don't. So I will re-enable raids, I guess, after this stream. So sorry about that, Cursed Arachnid. I didn't know that was a good a good thing. It just sounded like I don't want people raiding our channel while we're trying to do a live stream,
doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Here's a comment from Rosuav, which is going back to the 1080p thing. Yeah, it does appear that if I look at the quality settings, we have auto and 1080p. That's it. So we don't have any lower options for people on lower connections. So I guess there's some more settings that need to be tweaked.
Yeah, all right. Well, this is why we're doing this. Look, this is a bit of a test stream. So we're going to do this today. We'll record it. We'll collect all your feedback. And then we will make all kinds of adjustments and fixes. And I mean, if there's some of you that have been with us since the first time we did a live stream on YouTube, and I think we've told some of you that setup was literally like me and Martin sat in front of some cardboard boxes that we'd taped together and put some cloth over. So
it was
pretty
cardboard boxes.
It was pretty
with
terrible.
2 monitors balanced precariously on top of them and a black screen behind us.
Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely an improvement. But yeah, Cursed Arachnid, sorry about the raid thing. We will fix that later on. I just tried to look, but I couldn't find the setting quickly. So yeah. All right. So I think that's kind of brought us up to where we have been for the last couple months. I was stuck in Thailand. There's been this global pandemic, obviously, that kind of messed us up. And now we're both back in Shanghai, but you can see Martin is far, far away because we're still doing the social distancing stuff. Is that right, Martin?
Yeah, it's still half and half. Every time I go out, I still got my mask on, and if I'm going to be sat near to anyone, what's what do they say? Like within 6 foot, I make sure I've got my mask on. But yeah, things are relaxing a little more now. People are going out more, sitting in cafes and stuff. But
Well,
yeah, we're still all fully masked up.
until 1 week ago, 7 days ago, for us here in the what they call in Chinese a Shaochu, it means a small district. It's basically your housing compound because it turns out that like everybody lives inside a small housing compound in China. No matter what it is that you live in, you have an entrance gate and you've got to bow on like a security guard. Um, and it's funny because that's been used to great effect during the lockdown because the security guards suddenly had the job not just of keeping people out who shouldn't come in, but they were keeping you from going out as well. But until 7 days ago, they were not allowing people in the Shaochu that I live in to have guests come in, where a lot of places had opened back up, probably where you live had opened back up. But we were told because there's so many foreigners living in our Shaochu that they were not willing to open the gates back up for another week. So we lagged behind a little bit. That's why last week you couldn't come over. This week I think you could have, but anyway, here we are. I am a ma'am comments and says, sorry to comment this again, but I've watched nearly every stream over the last few months. From the first with the black background to the stream where you gave away Greg's junk and up to now, and all the progress was very interesting, and sometimes it was great to watch you two and relax. And he says, or she, he, I don't know. I can't believe I'm watching it live for once. Yay, you're watching it live. It's good. Okay, we are now at the half-hour mark, which you know what that means.
Prize time.
Okay. We are going to give away a prize. Could you sound less excited about that, Martin?
Probably.
Yeah.
Prize time.
So as we said at the start of the stream, we are going to give away these Pirate Jam doubloons. They're quite big. They're 55 millimeters. I don't know. You can kind of see like in the palm of get out of the way, Martin. In the palm of my hand.
Those new coins are immensely awesome. I mean, the ones from the past were also good, but this year's were just great.
A camera doesn't focus autofocus, so I have to use the down cam. All right, here we go with the down cam. There you go. So we're going to give one of these away, and we don't have Nightbot with us today. So, Martin, how is this going to work? I think we talked about something at the start.
I have in front of me some paper with answers written on them, and basically I'm going to ask a question. You have to type in chat, and the first correct answer I see will win. It's not perfect, but we're going to give it a go.
Okay, well, it's all on you, Martin, so.
All right. Today, the first question is, well, make sure, everybody's clicked live so they're as up to date with the stream as possible. Don't want anyone lagging behind. So be live. Which character from Wonderland am I thinking of?
So you've got to read Martin's mind. Which character from Wonderland? All right, you've got Hatter, Mock Turtle, Cheshire Duchess, White Rabbit. Oh man, they're going crazy there. You're still waiting, aren't you?
Still nothing.
Martin is still waiting. I'm thinking you must have picked an obscure. The Jabberwock.
Ice Killer.
Wow, look at that.
Ice Killer.
Ice Killer got it. Go. Jabberwock. Way to go.
See, no cheating.
There's Martin made big. Oh, that didn't work. There you go, Jabberwock. All right, well, congratulations, Ice Killer. It's good that Ice Killer won because Ice Killer knows the drill. Ice Killer, you need to do the thing. What's the thing?
Yes, do the thing, please. Write to us, support@mysterious.design. Tell us what you won, format your address in a correct and non-stupid way. We'll get your stuff sent out.
Please format it in a non-stupid way, because I have to deal with it, and I don't like dealing with stupid things. Really don't. Ask Martin.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We are going to switch over to art review. So, What's going on here? We have been doing art and design for Alice Asylum. Like I said, I think we're going on 2 years now. It's been quite a while. And we are, of course, pitching everything that we've been doing to a variety of publishers and financiers. And we did recently have a pretty interesting opportunity come up. It's actually one of the upcoming questions, so I shouldn't say too much about it just yet.
Oh
Um,
man.
what? I didn't say anything.
Hmm. Okay.
All right. So while I was away in Thailand, our team, which are they're all over the world, we've got Joey here in China, we've got Omri in Israel, we've got Alex in Australia, we've got Norm in the United States, we've got Jen in Canada, we've got Dario in Italy, and then of course myself and Martin are here in China. The team continued working on Alice Asylum, and so they were working on pre-production stuff related to Hatter's domain. A lot of that information has been to date collected over on the Asylum Wiki, which we're going to talk about what's up with the Asylum Wiki here in a minute. Let's see here. If you go to my webpage, it's really sad that the chat is busted. Like whenever I change between scenes, it loses the content inside the chat window. I don't know why that is. Anyway, if you go to my wiki, or I'm sorry, you go to my blog, if you go here at the top of the page, it says Asylum Wiki. You click on that, it will give you a pretty good overview of all the content and story and design stuff that we've collected together in the time that we've been working on pre-production. So our team was continuing that process. They were in denial, which is the realm that is essentially, I'm sorry, they'd got out of denial and they'd gone into Hatter's domain, which is bargaining. So they were working on bargaining, which is the Hatter's domain, and they produced quite a lot of art for bargaining, which is what most of the stuff I think in today's folder is. Joey had done up what you see here on screen, some collectibles. Not a fan of cakes as collectibles.
It's it feels a little retro, doesn't it? I think a lot of games in like the 90s and 2000s had like cakes and stuff as to collect for points.
Yeah. So I wasn't a big fan of this. I don't feel like food is something that I want to use as just a basic collectible, because in the books, she's got eat me, drink me. And I feel like if we were going to have cakes, that when you eat a cake, it ought to have some sort of magical effect, not just be like a collectible that you pick up. Desert
Yeah.
Phoenix, which he is one of our patrons, he's asking, will there be a Discord discussion soon? Well, Ray, I'm getting to that in just a moment. It turns out that where we're going with what's going to happen with the production touches on that. So let's get through some of this art really quick, and then we can talk about that. So as far as collectibles go, she also did up these vases, vials, jars, bottles, I'm not sure. Lots of different things you could call these. And I'm a bigger fan of these because I feel like they're kind of suggestive of maybe perfume bottles that Alice's mom might have had, or somebody might have had that she would have been in contact with as a young girl. And this also goes in line with, we had previously talked about bottling up emotions. So using these kind of jars as collectibles, I think works pretty well.
I think so.
This is flowers, again, as collectibles. The whole painting the roses and hawking flowers and whatnot in the Alice lore makes this kind of thing make sense. Somebody told me that there's such a thing as a galaxy rose, and I went and looked that up. Have you seen that before?
I heard somebody say that it's a thing, but I don't know what thing it is.
It's like ugly LED light up fiber optic flowers that are ugly. That
Right.
I don't know. So someone said something like, did Joey get inspiration from that? Or I don't know. They said there's already galaxy roses. I don't know.
Well,
Sometimes I don't know if Joey found reference to Galaxy Rose and then she kind of borrowed it, or if because she lives in the vacuum of China, kind of separated from Western culture, sometimes she just stumbles on stuff. It's hard to say.
right. Hard to say, but it's a good name actually. I like it. This Galaxy Rose sounds good.
Yeah. So this is another collection she did. Now I really liked this, and there's a reason why I'll get to just in just a second. But this is stones. So these are collectibles like rose quartz and brown tiger eye, um, Dalmatian stone, blue golden stone. So basically, these are all collectibles that are based off of gems and stones that you'd pick up on the ground. And it got me thinking that like when you were a kid, did you go around trying to find cool stones and rocks on the ground?
Yeah, I was never like super into it. I didn't have like a massive rock collection, but I definitely had a couple of cool ones in like a little box.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of people in the chat saying yes. When we were kids, we'd go looking for this. I know I did. I know that where I lived, if we were digging in the dirt and you found a cool little piece of quartz or a little piece of fossil or something, that was like major. You go show your friends like, oh my God, look what I found. So I think it really fits with the idea of children when they're playing outside, when they're digging in the dirt, they find stones. That's something that's interesting and valuable to them. And then it also goes along with a thought that I've had about Alice as a sort of junior naturalist. She's out there, she's doing her kind of like David Attenborough, she's got her notepad in one hand and she's sketching the butterflies and the trees and all the things that she's seeing. And that could play in quite nicely to an element of collecting and cataloging. And that's where I really like this idea of the stones and collecting the stones, is because they fit quite nicely into that natural exploring and discovery and collecting and cataloging type of mechanic. So I see a lot of people in the chat also like that idea quite a lot.
I do like a little collector find-a-thon thing in games. Get an achievement, get 100%, find all the thing of a certain type. But I'm a completionist in games, so that's right up my alley.
Yeah, I think you would like that. Magus mentions that he only did that when he was in Shawshank, which of course is a reference. Do you know what that reference is?
I'm assuming it's the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, yeah. So Andy Dufresne was collecting stones, and he needed a stone pick from Red, and that's how he dug his way out of the prison. So, yep, good one there, Magus. Yeah. So Truth Decay says you could also relate the stones back to birthstones, and then that relates to the Zodiac calendar. And yes, that is a very good idea. I like that a lot. It could also be that as she's out collecting these stones, there is a link to Hatter, because Hatter is Wonderland's, resident chemist, naturalist, experimenter. He's sort of like the Da Vinci of Wonderland, and so he may be the one that says to her, go out, find these elements, bring them back so that we can make this or that thing. That could be quite interesting, I think. So I really, of all the things that she proposed in this go round of collectibles, it was the stones that really resonated with me the most. This is another Joey illustration. This is Piggy Run.
And Piggy Run.
This is pretty cute. So this is I'm thinking that what she's done here, this is actually meant to be kind of a sequence of gameplay. And so the pig the Duchess was holding in the original story, which we also featured in Madness Returns, would be something where Alice is tasked to go and steal it. And so Alice has to go and fight against this. And she's drawn this out so she can steal the pig and then trade it back to the Duchess in return for something, right? So there's a good kind of mission, collection, and then bribery mechanic going on here.
And of course, it's got Joey's classic little speech bubble type stuff going on that I love so much.
Yeah, she's done some whoops and some, is that pa pa pa, ta ta ta?
It's like ta ta.
Ta.
I don't know.
Snore, says the pig. I'm not sure.
Instead of snort?
I don't, at this point, not only is she making up words, but she seems to have invented letters here. It looks like a Y with a bar across the top. I guess it's supposed to be yeah, 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 but it's like got a whip integrated into the design of the Y or something.
I love Joey stuff.
It's really good. I don't know. I don't know what snore. Maybe she's trying to write out the piggy sound.
I think so.
But yeah, that pig got messed up. It's like Grand Theft Pig. So this is yeah a piece from Joey, the Nutcracker. Now I thought we had envisioned the Nutcracker as one of Alice's companion assistants. I'm wondering what the story is here with him being the sort of blindfolded driver of the pig cart. I'll have to talk to her.
No.
What's she been smoking?
What's OBS doing? We just had a few lag comments come in all at once.
It shows that we dropped 340 frames suddenly, but we're back to normal again.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is another image that Joey did. Now, this was done kind of unrequested. That happens every once in a while. Joey will have like a brain fart, and she'll just produce artwork that wasn't asked for. So this was her doing a bit of art. I don't know where she got the inspiration for it, but anyway, she thought, and that you can see that that's the case because she writes, "This may be a cave in Iceland, or somewhere further in the mountains." So, sort of like,
Hmm.
I don't know where it goes, but here it is.
Maybe she saw a documentary about that crystal cave. Where is it, in like Mexico or something? That's got like massive 40-foot long crystals in it.
Don't know about that, but hmm, it could be. Anyway,
Could be.
not a bad thing for her to kind of come up with a concept like this. Don't know where we'll put this just yet, but I'm sure we can find somewhere because Wonderland is a big and wondrous place. So this is the moon. Now we had actually shared this a while ago, but it got reshared because we began a kind of new how should I explain this? This is getting to the stuff I want to talk about with regards to what we're doing on production for pre-production going forward. And so we revisited the moon because we have revisited the start of the story. So I'll just give you a brief little glimpse here. So this is what we started doing. We took all of the content from the wiki and we dropped it into this Google Docs. And so this, I think we've actually shared a link to this over on Patreon. So if you're interested in going through this and seeing all the content that was collected on the wiki, but in one big long linear document, then go check out the Patreon post where that link has been shared. And again, I will get back to this in a moment. Now, if you've been following along on Patreon, I did actually write up what it is we're doing, what this change means. It's not a bad thing. It's just us trying to organize everything. So yeah, this moon art was on my desktop because I decided to hijack the moon as a character for use in a nefarious fashion at the start of the game. So the moon is going to basically become like a tracking jailer assistant. Like every time Alice tries to escape, then the moon will appear and lullaby her to sleep and drag her back to jail. Speaking of the Shawshank Redemption.
Right. How will she try to escape?
Well, the story that we're working on is one where she's remember Groundhog Day and like Bill Murray's just stuck inside the same timeline over and over and over again. Yes, no.
Okay.
You,
Sorry, I was looking at the chat. I saw my name highlighted a couple of times. Sorry, could you repeat that?
oh no, I was saying, do you remember Groundhog Day, the movie with
Of
Bill Murray?
course.
Right. So he's stuck inside this sort of infinite loop, right? Another variation on that would be like in Inception, You find out that, what was the wife's name? Was it Mel? Mal. Mal was stuck down in the sort of like multiple layered down subconscious of the Leonardo DiCaprio character. So these characters kind of have a self awareness of being stuck inside this predicament, but they don't know how to get out, right? Which means that they are in a form of jail. So that's essentially what we're doing with Asylum, is that Alice is stuck inside a variation of Wonderland. Now we've shown that represented as this glass snow globe, right? And we know,
Yeah.
now the player won't know this, but we know that it is child, it's the child aspect of Alice's personality that has been smushed down and suppressed and locked away, and that adult Alice is trying to get through to it and to get it to come out. But there's also aspects of child Alice's personality, like the Queen, for instance, who have a vested interest in their own survival. So they've taken over this sort of shard or this little mini globe of Wonderland, and they're trying to keep Alice, child Alice, trapped inside, because the moment she escapes, their whole world disappears. So the moon is going to be sort of like the jailer. He's not the jailer. He's the bloodhound. He's the one that when Alice goes off the rails, when she begins to deviate from her existence in denial, it's the moon that comes and chases her down and sings her to sleep, and then when she wakes up, she's back in denial again. And what we'll discover as we are playing through the game is that this cycle has happened to her repeatedly, hundreds of times throughout the course of her time in this state. And so it's during our playthrough that she finally is making her, we're helping her make the most real attempt at escaping from all of this. There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent stuff. I like it.
Yeah.
Although I am now thinking of the moon, like saying, like, the sun's getting real low. Like trying to put the Hulk to sleep.
Right. Yes. So, Martin, you're lagging out over there. Like, I don't see your face moving anymore. I just hear your voice.
Uh, I did just have a little alert pop up about unstable connection, but that's gone away now, so maybe it'll sort itself out.
Doesn't look like it. You're frozen, but whatever. That's fine. I can hear you, so you're just a frozen face that talks.
Oh no.
Right. So this is a laboratory, or a laboratory, as us Americans would say. This is actually Hatter's laboratory, and I do think we shared this before. I lose track sometimes. This is from Dario. So this is where Alice is going to head to after she begins her escape attempt from denial. So she's going to be tasked with, her ultimate goal is to go and confront the Queen. But on the way to confronting the Queen, she's got to go meet Hatter and get equipped and get ready. So this is Hatter's laboratory, which of course is kind of fashioned after a giant frog wearing a top hat.
Somebody, false summer. Hatter looks a little bit like Kermit.
Well, that's not Hatter. that's just the front of Hatter's lab. So one of the reasons why this looks like this, and if you were following along previously, what we've done is we've said that Hatter's domain, there was something that happens there. Now, we've said that it's an experiment that he was doing into the nature of Wonderland, because he's also started to realize that like something's wrong, that they're living inside of a simulation, that they're living inside of this constant loop, and that something's wrong with the nature of their Wonderland. And so in the process of him trying to suss out what it is that's wrong, he actually blows up his corner of Wonderland. And in the process of blowing it up, the reality of Wonderland becomes all mixed and jumbled. So when we get there, when Alice arrives, she finds that buildings have been mixed together with animals, and animals have been mixed together with trees, and trees have been mixed together with vehicles. And I mean, it's just a mess, right? It's chaos on a massive scale around the nature of the reality there. So that's why this is mixed up like this.
Yeah, I do like the idea. I said before on a previous stream that the idea of Hatter becoming aware that he's living inside something. I don't know if we said that he knew it was the mind of a child, or he just knew something was wrong. Really like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be one of the ones who, he becomes aware and then he's going to have to make the decision, and probably from a scientific basis, that this false reality cannot continue because it is itself unnatural. He's going to probably preach to Alice and to anyone who's resisting against the change that change itself is natural, change is inevitable, you know, whether it be decay or death, but that through those processes there is rebirth, and that they can't stay in stasis, they can't stay static forever. And so I think he'll end up on her side, but it may take a bit of convincing. And I imagine, and that's why we have him in this stage of bargaining, because I think early on he's trying to figure out a way to sort of fix the problem, and avoid having to go through the transformation. But I think, obviously at the end, he's going to be one of the characters that allies with Alice, probably makes some great sacrifice in order to end this variation of Wonderland and allow nature to continue along its natural progress. So yeah, this is a bit more illustrated version of that area of Hatter's Domain, where you can see the blown apart bits that constituted his workshop and his home, and that's his laboratory, hanging out there. He's got the telescope on top of an observation tower there, and then all kinds of like chaos creatures and blobs and things that, there's like a bee or a wasp that used to be quite small but now is quite huge, and massive tentacles and fishies swimming around. Now I hope, if we get lucky, the next image, oh no, not that, the next image is this. Yeah, so this was another one that Dario did. This is, I think he called it T-Port, right? So
sounds right.
So this is the maelstrom, the madness that Alice has to go through in order to get to Hatter's Domain. And I think that what we're suggesting here is that there was a ocean, some sort of body of water, a town that once separated where Hatter's Domain is, or where his home and his laboratory are, from the place where Alice is hanging out in denial. But as she begins the journey and she crosses the border into the chaos of what's happened to his domain, this is what she encounters. So you get all kinds of upside down houses and giant fishies and huge tentacles, and it's sharks and dolphins sleeping together. It's madness.
It's an ocean of tea. I'll have that drunk in a couple of days.
Yeah, well, you as a Brit probably would. So yeah, somebody in the comments saying Tempest in a teapot. Rosuav says, what is the Hatter's justification for fighting against Alice in the first game then? He's trying to block her access to the eye staff. Well, there's something of, and I don't know how much people are gonna like this or not like this. What's going on is that the events of Alice 1, where Hatter is fighting against Alice, by the time we are here coming back into Alice Asylum, those events have actually already taken place. So you have to think about it like branching timelines. So there was the timeline of adult Alice who runs forward, leaving child Alice behind, and the adult Alice goes on and has these battles with Hatter and Queen and all these characters. But what we're dealing with in the mind of child Alice is actually a separate path. It's like a divergent path. That Hatter hasn't gone forward yet. And we are going to try to set up some of the justifications, but when this Hatter makes this decision to help Alice, it's kind of like it's creating a new branch, and we will probably have elements to explain the branch that goes forward to AMA and AMR. But essentially, that's like the shadow branch. It's like the combat branch. And what's trying to happen here is a reintegration. So like Alice reintegrating with her psyche, which includes elements like Hatter and the Queen not being allied against her, once she makes the journey out, I guess you'd say. I kind of feel like we're going to have to get to that point in the writing for us all to make it make sense. But we will get there. I'm just a little bit worried people will feel like it's kind of time travel-y. It's a little bit like the Terminator movies. It's sort of, well, if John sends the Terminator back to help his mom, then John never existed. So how did he send the Terminator back in the first place, right? I mean, there's a lot of questions like that come up when you're dealing with things that are essentially time travel, and that's essentially what we're dealing with here. You have to remember that all of the things that we're talking about, they all take place inside Alice's mind. And I never want to say that because of that we don't have to have rules, because we do, otherwise we wouldn't enjoy playing these games or following the narrative. But there is going to be something here where there's a divergence in the paths, and we're going to have to accept that what young Alice is doing within this psychological realm, it's all happening when, in fact, adult Alice has already gone through all those other adventures, if that makes sense. So somebody says, if you want time travel chaos, look at Deponia Doomsday. It will break your mind. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Is it like a game? Is it a movie? What is it? I'll Google it.
You'll have to Google it. I'm trying to control things over here and keep our live stream going. But before you Google that, I think it's time for another giveaway.
Am I moving again?
You are. You're back.
Video?
Yes, and your nose is missing again. I like when you turn your head, you become flat-faced and weird.
All right. So everyone make sure, well, hopefully you're as live as you can be on the stream and you've not lagged behind too much, so you have a chance with this. The next question for the giveaway today, and the giveaway is Pirate Jam coins. Pirate Jam coin to the winner, if you've just joined us and you don't know that.
They're huge. So, they're not coins. Stop calling them coins, Martin. They're doubloons.
Is a doubloon not a coin?
Yeah, but a coin isn't necessarily a doubloon. You can't. That's like saying we're going to give away a Ferrari and then you keep calling it a car. It's like, no, we're giving away a freaking Ferrari. And you're like, is a Ferrari a car? Yeah, but a car isn't necessarily a Ferrari. So, I'm just being pedantic. Right. Go ahead. We're giving away Pirate Jam doubloons.
A doubloon we're giving away. I will do this question next then. So type this in the chat. The first and correct answer I see will win. Ice Killer, don't take part because you've already won. Which streaming service were we recently talking to about Alice?
Well, that's the dumb way to phrase that. Anyway, they're going to figure it out. Wendy got it.
There we go.
She already knew anyway. She was the one who got angry about this in the comments over on Patreon. So, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, Wendy won in about 1 second. So
there it is. Just no cheating.
Would you call Netflix a streaming service? I mean, I'd feel like that's like, again, now you've done it again. That's like calling a Ferrari a car. It's like, hey, Netflix is a streaming service. I mean, it's an entertainment company. They're more than a streaming service. They fund productions. Anyway, yes. So, Wendy, you got it right. Wendy knows how to do the thing. So, Wendy, please send an email to support@mysterious.com. Or no, wait, mysterious.design. Sorry. support@mysterious.design. Along with all your details, and then we will get your coin sent. Martin, your doubloon. We get your doubloon sent to you. So congratulations on that. Yes. So now that those talks have basically stopped, I am allowed to now talk about it. So we were under an NDA. Wendy did guess this a while ago, that we were talking to them. So we did start talking to them at the start of, was it January, I think? And we presented them with everything that we were working on. And they were interested, first and foremost, in the game aspect, because it turns out that Netflix is these days funding game development. But they also brought on board, brought to the conversation people who are on their live action, linear, what do you call it, TV series, film side of things, right? So I see some people saying buffering. I did see another 100 frames just got dropped, but it's back to normal again now. So yeah, we started at the beginning of 2020 with these conversations. They continued while I was out on my sailing trip. I actually had a phone call pitching the team in Los Angeles in the midst of that sailing trip. I think that was before the coronavirus thing blew up. I think that was in mid-January, and then we were waiting until start of February for feedback on that call, and there was some following up. And then it didn't go anywhere. So this happens a lot. I've talked about this a lot throughout the course of all the effort we've been putting into pre-production on Alice. Many of you know that we've talked to Amazon. Actually, the Amazon talks are still ongoing. We've had EA coming back and forth to the table. I did mention in one of the posts recently some sniffs around by Epic. I'll get to those in just a second. Greg, don't freak out. So there's been a lot of companies that we have talked to. And in fact, right now, we have 2 more conversations ongoing that I cannot talk about. But one of them is a publisher and another one is a financier. This is constant. This is constant background business development that is going on in trying to find money and find a publisher, and this is normal. In my experience, it often takes years to get, especially when you're talking about the millions of dollars that you need to make something like what we want to make here. So anyway, we talked to Netflix. It seemed like there was a lot of positivity coming out of it. I mean, some of the guys that were on the call that we had were even bragging that they had all the collectibles in their office. So I'm thinking, like, that's a good sign. You know, if you've got all the collectibles, that means that there's fans over there. That means we're going to have people championing, championing. Yeah. But then we got a phone call and they said it just didn't work out. And, you know, one of the sad things about these processes is that you wish that you could learn more from them so that, like, next time around, perhaps I would be able to take what happened, learn from it, and adjust and do better so that you improve your odds of pitching successfully to the next group that come along. But they very rarely give you anything other than, yeah, we just decided to pass. And so I think there was a little bit of a description that they said it didn't, they weren't sure about who the audience was. And then also somehow the story, like, didn't align with their goals. I don't know. I always take that to be some sort of corporate nonsense speak that is actually covering up the real reason, and then they don't want to tell you the real reason. So
it does sound like corporate speak, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. Now I know that Octo Chicken was commenting on a recent Patreon post with regards to the comment I made about Epic. I know, and this is still going on. Martin, do you still see people getting angry about Epic and how they're, like, being evil? Is that still a thing?
Not so much anymore. I mean, I'm subscribed to a load of, like, gaming YouTube channels and news outlets, and that certainly was a thing, like, a couple of months ago. Like, every day almost somebody was angry at Epic.
Yeah.
But yeah, not seeing that so much anymore.
I like Octo Chicken's comment here. When you think of all the junk Netflix makes, no Alice, but we will get 18 more Adam Sandler films. Yep. But I've actually heard the story about why Adam Sandler films exist. It's because the guys that are in his company behind the funding of the films are incredibly smart about brand placement. And they have a model for making very low budget films that they know will have a niche audience and cover their initial costs. And then through brand placement and, like, DVD sales and streaming sales, they make tons of money. So they can be horrible movies, but they've got really smart business people who know how to structure the whole thing, you know, foreign finance and brand placement and this and this and this. And those films don't lose money. Like, they're not good, but they don't lose money. So it is one of those frustrations that we see. Now, when I went into pitch, Alice, I'm not pitching a financial structure. I'm not pitching like a trick of funding and this and brand placement that. And no, we're just pitching a story and characters and a group of fans. And clearly, that's not enough, right? So,
Mm.
um,
But basically, you just need to add into the pitch that every now and then Alice knocks back a can of Mountain Dew,
correct. That's right. As a power up.
right?
So, by the way, just when we're talking about Adam Sandler, I don't mind him sometimes. Like, I thought Happy Gilmore was hilarious. That's the golf one. I can still watch that and laugh. And Rob Schneider in those movies is hilarious. So, some of the older Adam Sandler films I like. I think they're kind of funny. And then he had a couple of serious ones like Punch Drunk Love, something else that I actually thought he was quite good in. So, I think that, he gets a bad rap because, well, he should, because he makes crap movies, but he's not looking at the crap movie aspect of it. He's looking at the fact that he can make lots of movies and he can make lots of money. Like, he makes tons of money making those crap movies. So, we can laugh all we want, but we can't seem to get our thing set up, even though we think we've got a better thing, right? All right.
Yeah.
Let's focus now on the concern about Epic, because that is a thing. I know people are worried about
Well,
it.
I have I have Greg's comment right here in front of me.
Yeah.
Epic nibbling has me ill at ease since I'm sure exclusivity on PC to their platform is part of the deal, and that will turn some measure of online response against the project. Fairly or unfairly, I leave for others to discuss. So that is an interesting avenue to see opening.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The conversation, as I said, it was a nibble. It was very minor, and I'm not pursuing it right now because we do have other ways. We have other conversations going on right now that I'm a bit more interested in. So, just for my time's sake and for the kind of my brain space, I try not to have too many of these conversations at once. It's off-putting to these companies a lot of times if you go in and it looks like they're competing with another entity. Now, there's times where like setting up a false sense of competition makes a lot of sense, especially if the two companies are equally matched. But like, say it's Epic and it's Amazon. They don't want to compete against each other because they're actually partners in a lot of ways. So when we have these kind of conversations happening where it's two that are equally matched, it's good to try to make them compete. Although in today's business world, like, so many people don't want to compete because they don't want a bidding war, because generally speaking, everybody loses in a bidding war. So this is another reason why our process has gone slower than it might have historically, is because I generally tend to do these things in a very serial fashion. But anyway, Epic, yeah, it's a possibility, but right now it's very much on a very, very distant back burner. There are two other conversations I'm having right now that I think are much more interesting. And who knows, maybe this thing we just said about Netflix will like blow up and they'll kind of like get angry and ashamed, and then they'll come back and be like, oh, we were just kidding. We want to do it after all. Don't compare us to Adam Sandler. We make art. All right.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. Let's shame them into it. Uh, I don't actually know. Oh, I know why this image was on my desktop. It was because I think I used it as something for the Twitch page, and I just because I liked the picture in general. So this was Judgment. This was from within the Queen's domain. Alice has to pass through a court. She has to go to trial before she's allowed to have audience with the Queen. And in fact, she's not allowed to have audience with the Queen. They try to execute her, but she escapes. So anyway, I just like this image quite a lot, and still don't really know exactly why I had it on my desktop, other than maybe using it as a Twitch image. Do you know, Martin?
The one with the pointing hands.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
really like this image though. Did we ever make this into an art print, like a poster?
We have not done this one yet.
Maybe we should. Who knows?
Got lots to choose from.
Yeah. Right. Moving on. This is another one of Joey's collectible images. This was Galaxy Rose turned into a door. Not a fan of Galaxy Rose. But anyway, this Galaxy Rose is totally blossomed. Sounds great. This is Shiva. Is this Shiva? I don't know. I put this in the last Patreon post because I was talking about that quote, "Now I am become death." And this was going into some details. Is it this? Yeah, I am become death. So I think that the little Vishnu, it was Vishnu that got in there. This was to go with this this image that Omri was working on. What did he end up calling this?
Is it the crying ruin that we're looking at?
Oh no, it's the one where the Alice is crying black tears with the Hatter Mercury symbol behind her.
Falling apart.
It's called Falling Apart. Oh.
Hmm.
Well, anyway, that Vishnu. When I saw this image as he was working on it, it reminded me very much of a Vishnu statue. And then he turned in. This is the final version of that. Now, this is going to be an art print, right?
I believe we've already said that this is the next one. Have we?
I think so. Yeah. Fall Summer says Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. That I think it's Krishna that is being talked to. Vishnu is talking to Krishna and says, "And now I am become death," which is also that Robert Oppenheimer included that in his famous quote about seeing the atomic bomb for the first time. Anyway, so this is called Falling Apart. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. So we have a lot going on in this image. And when I saw this, I had thought, like, this is just another art print. Because we have some, and I don't mean just, I mean, it's an incredible image. But then I thought, this ought to be an actual location in the game. Because it's super cool. And you could imagine her sort of passing through a gate like this as a sort of oracle. Or I don't know if she passes through, but she comes here to kind of get some kind of information. It could be that this is adult Alice finally figures out a way to sort of communicate with her. Because this looks like adult Alice, whereas I think what we are maybe down here is like child Alice. But these ruins remind me very much of the stuff I used to build in Quake. And I really like the background here, like this kind of broken castle stuff. So yeah, I was thinking, oh yeah, it's a cool poster, but now I'm thinking more and more that this ought to be set design, a set piece in the game.
Yeah. Well, Wendy J says, is this child Alice's Veil of Tears?
Yeah, I think that it is. I mean, we're gonna still have Veil of Tears, that statue that's been in all the games, but I think we're gonna have this as well. And I was kind of thinking, like, this feels to me like it's the start of an idea where maybe at the end of the chapters in Asylum, we come across these various incarnations of Alice in these giant runic statues. But can you imagine, like, every chapter, every area or zone that you complete, and then you get to one of these gateways, and once you've finished that area, the gateway activates like this, and each one is a different alchemy symbol, and each one presents a different incarnation or variation on Alice. I think there's something there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be a good sort of like bookend to an area and a stage of, you know, depression, anger, bargaining, whatever, to see like a different kind of adult Alice there. I think it would be very visually striking.
But if we do this as a chapter end marker, each chapter has its own variation on something like this. A giant alchemy symbol, a gateway or a portal, like something that you pass through in order to, continue the journey. But she's got to do whatever she's got to do prior in order to get this portal to activate. Anyway, I'll work on it in the story stuff with Alex and the rest of the team. Yeah. Wendy says, I like that idea a lot, but then what about the train? Well, we still have the train. We still have these elements of how you travel around. So it doesn't have to be that this is necessarily the portal out of a particular zone, but it could be like the thing at the center of each zone that has to be activated or solved before that zone is finished, right? So I don't know. We'll dig around and figure it out. Speaking of the train, I mean, this was something that Omri was pushing, was this Hall of Doors concept. So I think we did show this previously for sure, but inside this structure, there was like this massive area of doors, and those then led to different places inside of Wonderland. So all of those being variations on ways that you travel fast or slow around Wonderland. Did we make this into an art print, the how fine you look when dressed in rage?
Not yet.
I feel like this is a weird one. It got made in the midst of all the craziness, and I feel like it just sort of slipped through the cracks and vanished. I don't know how many of the Insane children are like aware of this one or have seen this one.
It's been posted on Patreon a couple of times now, so I think people know about it, and it is fantastic.
Beautiful.
And it's not that it's slipped under the radar. It's just the last couple of months we've had other fantastic prints.
That's true.
We went from tragedy into unhappiness, and next month into falling apart.
Right.
I mean, it's all good.
Yeah. Well, that brings up a point I think I mentioned to you, and it also goes to a comment that has just been made by Rosuave. About art prints. We really need an art print calendar. Remember we had one of those last year?
Yeah, we do need one. Would be good.
Yeah, so maybe something for your task list and we can talk about it together, because I feel like even I don't know exactly what art prints we've done this year, and I don't know if we have a schedule of what's coming next. This one absolutely needs to be in that schedule though, because it's absolutely fantastic. And again, This is sort of like one of these portals. I mean, you could imagine this image. It's a piece of concept art. It's a beautiful illustration, but you see in it, there's another portal going on here. So imagine that Alice, we build this into a level and build it really, really big. And there's another kind of confrontation with a mirror of the self that she has to go through as she completes whatever level this ends up in.
Yeah, I like it.
So Rose Suave says, a question regarding posters and prints. I'm currently on the every 3-month Patreon tier, but there's no way to add additional prints at the moment other than going to the this month's art tier instead, which would mean I need to miss out on everything I don't already have. Are there any plans to perhaps allow add-ons of a sort? Especially awesome would be or a full list so I could see which ones I don't currently have. I think you're asking if you can access the older prints, maybe? Is that what it sounds like to you, Martin?
Pretty much.
All of the old prints, all the prints that have ever gone through Patreon, they do end up over on Miscellaneous. So if you're trying to collect and complete and get all the prints that you may have missed in the past, one way to do that is to get them via Miscellaneous. But when you're doing that 335 thing, you can also go to Miscellaneous and pick any one of these prints to be that print. It's all about the choice, right? But I think you probably know that if you're in that. So I may have misunderstood your question.
And it's worth pointing out that over on Miscellaneous, we do kind of cycle all the prints through, like some of them go on sale for a bit and then they're taken off and then we'll put some more on sale. So there is if you keep an eye on it, there's some bargains to be had.
Well, let us know if we answered that question. If we didn't, Rose Suave, you can always send an email to support@mysterious.design. And Font Lord, can't point at you. Font Lord there, Galaxy Brain Font Lord, he will answer your question and help you out. Desert Phoenix says each gate has the same color palette of the dress of that level. Yes, could be. That's something I need to talk to Alex about. I am a ma'am asks, when is Martin getting married? Martin, when are you getting married? I think the answer to that question is when will it be legal to marry your PlayStation? That's what that question really should be.
Yeah, who knows? The 12th of never, perhaps.
Well, Martin, you're gonna have to get outside, find you a lady.
This year I was planning on being more active and going out and being social and like dating and stuff.
Great. Of course you were.
And, like Berg came along and is like, actually, no.
Damn coronavirus, damn you. Okay. I mean, we've got a lot more art, but I really wanted to get to the things that we're doing going forward, because that's important. This is a poster from Mysterious Makeup for those of you that are waiting for information about Mysterious Makeup. Yin, my wife, is still working on it, but obviously the whole virus thing kind of slowed things down. But we are finalizing all the design, everything's finished, and the makeup factory will start producing these. It's April now. I think they're going to start producing this month, and then it takes about 3 months to make everything, and then the makeup stuff will get released. So hopefully by then, the world has gone back to semi-normal, and yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Let's just
also a great picture, that advertising.
Yeah, it's good. Just get through all this. That's a turtle that Norm did. This was some tarot card stuff that Omri's working on. That's a very long-legged pig. I feel like this stuff was all shared on Patreon. This thing for sure was shared on Patreon. Yeah, this was Omri's redo of the Van Gogh image. Oh, this is funny. Did I show you this? This is the picture.
The Instagram picture? I don't know what this is.
Okay, so I don't even know what this. It's called like Tiger King or something. It's some sort of like. Do you know about this? It's like a Netflix show about some guy who murdered people using tigers.
Talk about Tiger King, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, it's a Netflix show, and there's a guy, and he raised tigers. He's got like a tiger farm and raised and trained tigers. I don't know. And then ultimately, I think he murdered somebody, but I think also at the same time, like he was super gay. And anyway, so there's this picture. And I had 3 different people send it to me and say, this Tiger King guy looks exactly like you, American. Oh my God. And I looked at it and I was like, holy shit, what is going on here? The guy literally does look exactly like me. If I just grew this mutton chops, handlebar mustache, whatever. I could be that guy. So I think I know what I'm going to go as for Halloween. I'm going to go as the Tiger King guy.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks so much like you.
Yeah. So there you go. I think that brings us to the end of art review. I thought I'd end it on laughing at myself. Ha ha. Okay. Let's quickly shift gears. So we need to go. Oh no, it's contest time. All right, Font Lord, one more. The third contest.
More.
All right, do the contest.
Do the third contest. Again, if you've already won, don't bother taking part. Make sure you're all caught up with the stream so you can type in the chat. The first correct answer I see will win. This one's kind of easy, as if the last one wasn't. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 20. What is it?
Wow, so the first person to say the number that Martin is thinking, you've got 14, 17, 13, 4.
Oh, right there, we've got a winner.
That was fast.
Juvia Melissa.
All right, Juvia
Guest
Melissa.
17.
Wow.
So
Congratulations, Juvia Melissa. That was actually pretty fast. That almost feels
it really was. It was the
telepathic.
second guess.
Incredible. All right, well, Juvia Melissa, you need to send an email to support at mysterious.design, and then we will send you one of these fancy thingy coin doubloons. Don't call it a coin. Do it.
Stop saying coin.
Stop saying coin. You did that to me, Martin. So right now let's shift gears. We're going to talk about what's going on with Asylum in 2020. So I think many of you know I still talk to EA, and EA are still interested in Asylum, not just in getting us a license in hand, but also there has been quite a lot of talk from EA about, hey, maybe they'll be the ones to fund it and publish it and whatnot. So, and Greg, don't freak out. It doesn't mean it's an exclusive to anything. All this stuff is still very nebulous and up in the air. But anyway, Asylum in 2020. One of the things that's happened is recently, like when the Netflix conversation happened, I didn't have enough of what we've been calling a design Bible. I just didn't have like this finished, complete, thick pitch package, which we've got like all these PDFs we've made. They're broad stroke overviews, but we don't have something that I could just sit down and be like, right, this is the production plan for the thing that we're going to make. Now, we have been dumping a lot of that content into the wiki, but I'm not a really big fan of the wiki when it comes to the creator perspective because it's really painful to edit things in there, and I'm much more used to kind of like a linear presentation. And I think when we try to send a potential publisher or financier over to look at the wiki, it's also not the way that they're used to seeing things. They want to see a linear document with a beginning, middle, and end that outlines what it is we have planned for production. So, first step of what we're doing, we've taken all the wiki content and we have dumped all that into this Google Docs document. And we did share the link to this, so you can go and view it. That link is over on Patreon somewhere. Martin, do you remember which post it's in?
No.
It's a little ways back. I feel like it was one of the posts I made right when we came home.
Put the word wiki in it, perhaps.
It might be this self-organizing self one. I don't know. Anyway, I'll find it. If not, I'll post it back up again. There is a link to that somewhere, but anyway, I'll share it. The idea here, though, is, and this is going to raise earlier question, is what are we going to do with our weekly crowd design sessions? So the answer to that is that until we finish this work that we're putting into this document, we're going to put the crowd design on hold. Now, the reason we're doing that is because it's difficult to sort of juggle the influx of new ideas and talking about how we would integrate those new ideas into the overall design while we're trying to build a concrete presentation for the design itself, right? It's like it's difficult to produce a car when you're still at the drawing board drawing the car, right? Does that make sense? Is that a good analogy?
It does.
Okay. So we're going to pause crowd design, and we're going to get everything from the wiki put in here. Now, you actually did that. Is it finished? Like, have you copied all the text over?
It is. It's done.
Okay. And then all the images that are relevant have been copied in here as well. And then what's happening is that myself and Alex are starting the process of the story. We're making sure that we've got a chapter by chapter outline of all of the story beats. And that all is going to go into this. Now, this was posted on Patreon for sure. I probably should do another Patreon post that has this plus the link to the Google document. But what this is it's the structure and format for what the Design Bible book is going to look like. And so when we do this, it's going to force us to lay out beat by beat, step by step, character by character, location by location, exactly what the game is. And as I said, we're starting the process of doing that now that we've kind of frozen everything in the wiki. We're starting that process with story, with narrative. So, what you can expect to see in the coming weeks is that the Google Doc, where did that go? It's up here somewhere. That this Google Doc is going to start getting edited, and it's going to get trimmed down in some places, and it's going to get expanded in terms of the story and Alice's progression in other places. And then all of that is going to get reformatted and put into this book. And so the book will be like beautiful. If you saw like the art of Alice Madness Returns, it'll be something like that. Now, whether or not we make it into a physical thing at some point, I don't know. It probably would make a very nice physical presentation, but for sure, it will result in a giant, beautiful PDF full of story, art, design, just front to back. What is this game? How do you play it? What do you see? Who do you interact with? What do they say? It'll all be in there. So, did I miss anything, Martin? Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. Sounds good. I think I think it would look fantastic as a physical book. I think that's something that should happen. But, we'll get to that when and if relevant. But yeah, I think you covered everything there.
Right. I see that the False Summer says, will it ever be public? So, False Summer, whenever we do things like this, everything's public. Even what we post on Patreon, I think a lot of people don't understand that when we post things to Patreon, they are set to patron only for 3 days, and then after 3 days, they become public. So, our goal is to make all of this stuff public, and everything that we've produced via Patreon in the past has become public. So yeah, for sure. That's one of the big goals, is to make this a public process, make it a crowd process for design and writing, and to get feedback from everybody. So once this has happened, once the Google document has been edited and squished and reformatted and all this new content has been dumped in there, then we will go back to crowd design. So you, the Insane Children, people who are supporting us on Patreon, you will be able to go in there with us, and we will resume the crowd design sessions, and we will work with everybody to edit and ask any of the questions that you have, and then we'll respond to those in the document and make sure that the thing ends up like we all had hoped. And my goal is that by the end of 2020, this book, the Alice 3 design overview, design Bible, will be complete, and that we will all have a complete vision of what the game is. Now, if you go through the Google Doc, you'll find that we have tons of information in there. I mean, we've done so much art, and we've done so much outlining of the world, that when I look at this, I think we're in a really good place to compress it down, to distill it down, and to make the what would be the ultimate presentation for what the game is. So that's what we've got planned. What do you think over there, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully by the end of 2020, not only will we have that fully designed design Bible, but we'll have some more stronger nibbles of actually finding somebody to help out with all this.
Yeah, I think so. It's always treacherous for me talking about where we are, like especially like the conversations with EA. Those conversations are still ongoing. In fact, the conversations with EA have branched in an interesting way. So I now have 2 simultaneous conversations happening with EA, one with the group that we've always been talking to, and one with a different group who have come to the table saying that they, as EA, are not only interested in the game, but they've brought to the table yet another Hollywood film production company. And that is a name that if I said it, I think a lot of people would be quite interested in. It's another kind of low budget horror film production company, but they have a really good track record of making very good, very compelling low budget horror films. So, again, whatever if it lends weight and credence to what it is that we're trying to get done here, doesn't mess up what we're trying to do, then it's great. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, something you touched on there, you mentioned it a bit earlier in the stream as well about this whole phase and how long things take. We occasionally get like people commenting on our Facebook pages, whenever we post a cosplay or something, every now and then you get someone like, where's the game? Where's it? You've been teasing this for ages. Scam, whatever. Yeah, so
is that what they
it
say,
takes
Martin?
a long time to do
Uh.
this stuff.
Yeah. Um,
So
I often see that those comments, those people don't really understand that they are part of the audience. They can get access to what it is that's being done. Um, so when we explain that to a lot of them, they actually come around when they realize, because I think a lot of people have a misconception that Patreon is like this closed, walled off thing that they can't get into unless they're patrons, but that's not true at all. If you go over to Patreon, yeah, it's fantastic that we have patrons that are helping to fund the actual cost of having this team of 8 people work on this project. Um, but the content that's being produced is not exclusive to them. They get it 3 days
yeah,
early, and then the whole world gets to see it. So I think a lot of times when you explain that to people, then they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I could see all the stuff that you're doing for free. So, okay.
Ice Killer says we should do a FAQ about that, but we already did. And
Yeah,
it's one of
yeah.
the things, isn't it? I mean, no matter how many times we say something or how much money we spend on advertising something, you just can't reach everyone.
This is
It's
true.
frustrating, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Everybody wants to
Yeah.
see Lulu, and I I can tell you that Lulu, Martin, I'm gonna make you disappear for a moment.
Oh no.
Bye bye. All right, so everybody, now Martin's gone. If you look, um, there, that's Lulu's head is right there. She's sleeping. She's actually sick these days. She's been sick for the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months or longer, because she's got some sort of kidney problem, bladder problem. And so we've had operations on her. I think many of you know that. And these days she's kind of gone back downhill with regards to bladder and kidney problems. So she sleeps a lot. And we're just trying to take care of her and make her comfortable. I don't know where that's going to end up, but that's Lulu. She's hiding underneath Martin over there. So send your thoughts and kisses and whatnot to Lulu. Hopefully, she will do okay. But she is getting to be an old dog in dog years. She's like 100 already. So yeah,
Poor Lulu. Me
yeah,
and her both had kidney problems.
yeah. It's sad. And then on top of that, she has to deal with the fact that she's being out cuted by the newest addition to our house, which is Lucky, and as cute and lovable as Lulu is, she has a very difficult time competing with this. That is Lucky on screen there, Martin, in case you don't see it yet. But
Okay.
yeah, Lucky just turned 7 months, and he's getting all kinds of toys and treats and snuggles and baths and food. And I mean, I just imagine from the dog's perspective, she just thinks like, what the hell? I used to be the one you were fussing over all the time. It was me you were giving baths to. I was the one getting the toys all the time. And now this intruder has come in and taken away all of the attention. And so yeah, I feel bad for her. I spend a lot of time every day actually trying to give her extra love and attention and play with her, because that kind of stuff is actually really good for their health. It's not good for their health if they're depressed and sad. So we're trying to take care of her. So we'll see how she does.
Give her some extra butt spanks from me.
Will do. You got to come over next week. You can give her some butt spanks of your own. Yeah, somebody says he's got awesome hair. He really does. This hair is fantastic. He came out like into the world with crazy hair, and so he's got really really good hair. very proud of his good hair. And that he's got crazy hair, all of my hair is falling out. So I think that's how it goes. All right. I think that's it. I mean, I covered all of our um, I covered all of the art, and we caught up on what we're doing with Asylum, and we've done some contest stuff. I printed out questions, but I forgot to bring them over here. So hold on one second, Martin. You keep everybody entertained.
I've got them up on my screen.
All right. Did you keep them entertained?
I didn't know what was happening. I can't see.
That's fine. It's a good thing when I stood
Although,
up, I was actually wearing pants.
Ice Killer gives us a good point. We're so discombobulated and doing new stuff, we forgot to mention Freaky Fandoms.
Oh no, that's not good. Well, then.
Sorry, Andrew and Deborah. Our minds are not in the usual YouTube streaming space.
No, and Martin knows this. I was meant to spend yesterday. I was going to spend quite a chunk of yesterday getting everything ready for the stream today, but I came down with a massive migraine right around lunchtime, and then I was in bed from lunchtime all the way through to this morning because I was in so much pain. So that's not a very good excuse, Andrew. Sorry for that, but we will take a moment out just now to talk about our good friends over at Freaky Fandoms. Wow, I haven't done this in 3 months. So Andrew and Deborah are now up to.
What did we say?
Well, they're now up to episode 122, and they're covering Bloodborne. Is Bloodborne a game or a movie?
It was a game.
It was a game,
I don't
right?
know if there's a movie of it.
Huh. All right. Well, they're talking about Bloodborne. I should go listen, then I'll know what it is that they're talking about. But yeah, Freaky Fandoms, that is our good friends Andrew and Deborah. They are one of our, if not our biggest supporter over on Patreon. And they also have their own Patreon, and they do a podcast where they discuss movies and games and books and art and all of that with kind of a creepy, dark, underworldy tinge to it. And so you can go and support them on Patreon. You can listen to them on SoundCloud. I think they're also on iTunes and Google Play and YouTube and Stitcher and Overcast. I mean, geez, they're on like everything. Spotify even. I didn't know they were on Spotify. I should listen to them in the car. So yeah, that's Freaky Fandoms. And you want to help to support what we're doing here, then you could also go over and support them, because when you support Freaky Fandoms, then you also, by virtue, are supporting us. How's that?
Yeah, it's great.
Yay.
Interesting-ish Bloodborne story about me. I actually snapped my Bloodborne disc so I wouldn't ever have to get frustrated at it again.
This was that game. I knew the name. I knew it.
I mean, it's really annoying for me because I'm actually really fucking good at games. You know,
Yes,
humble brag, whatever.
Yes.
I'm just great. I just can't get my head around the Bloodborne, Dark Souls type of combat mechanic. It just, no matter how much effort I put into it, it just doesn't click with me. And I was just getting so angry at that game. And I would put it down and I would come back in an hour when I thought I'd calmed down. And apparently I hadn't calmed down. And it was just, fury was building in me. So yeah, in a fit of rage, I just ejected the disc. I just snapped it, so I would never have to feel that rage again.
That's
Childish,
pretty crazy.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Overreaction, perhaps, but it happened.
I wonder if anybody in the chat has ever had this problem of like murdering a game disc. I mean, the closest I've come to that wasn't because I was frustrated with the game, but I had thrown away Grand Theft Auto 3. I threw the disc away like 2 or 3 times because I couldn't stop playing. And I wasn't even playing like in a normal way. I would just get in a car and just drive around the city running people over and just causing mayhem. And that was all I cared about doing. And I would get stuck in that for like hours at a time. And so I had to throw the disc away several times to stop myself from doing that. I don't know if anybody in the chat also has this kind of problem. There were a couple comments that went by. Truth Decay asked if we have made any progress or inquiries on the Alice-themed snow globes. No. The reason being that I got trapped in Thailand, and then when I got back from Thailand, we had 2 weeks in quarantine, kind of self-isolation. We've just come out of that a week ago, and this has been all this catching up stuff to do. But also, everything has been locked down here in China, and it's just now starting to open up again. So I have been talking to Yin about taking a trip down to Yiwu. We will probably do that one of these weekends coming up soon. I'll let you know. Pingy1309 says Lucky has mad scientist hair. Yes, he does, and he, I hope, does grow up to be a mad scientist. I'm going to be buying him tools and lab equipment very soon. I am a mom. Sorry, I don't know how to say your name. I keep butchering it. Says to give Lulu all the love. Lost a cat, the love of life, 2 years ago from heart problems. Still not over it. Yep, I know that very well. I lost my cat Star some years ago, and Lulu was actually how I got over that. So that's just the way it is with pets, I suppose. Not easy though. So I feel ya. Right, that's it for those comments. Now I do have comments from our patrons that have been printed out here, and so I will go through those now. Am I going through these, or are you doing it, Martin?
I can read them. It's just because things on Patreon have been sort of like up in the air and all over the place. There's not really a theme to these. I just like picked some comments out from recent posts, so we can just go through them. I'll read them off here.
Go for it.
In no particular order, but we'll go back a little bit in time here. Scarlet Emerald, please do not go Epic exclusive. I think that's a fairly common desire from people.
Are you reading from the same paper I am? Why have you started halfway down the page?
And just jumping in and out as to which ones are in my head at the time.
Okay. Go for it. All right, go for it.
All right, well, we'll go back up to the top. Ollie Bear. This is talking about the recent worldwide nonsense. I live in a little town called Weed here in Northern California. Things have been very stressful since I work in a nursing home. These people need to survive, and it saddens me to hear about the rest of the world. Glad to hear you guys are safe and doing good. Thank you, Ollie Bear. We're doing all right.
I've got friends that are near to Weed. They're in Redding, which is also in Northern California, and they had an outbreak there because there was somebody who had gone to Sacramento, like a person went to Sacramento to get an operation or something, and they got infected in the hospital, and then they brought the infection back to Redding, and then there was like a cluster of people who got sick there. So that's not good. Even in these supposedly quiet little places, it's spreading and it's very stressful.
Yeah. Abel Wynn Connolly says they are stationed on an aircraft carrier. The amount of prevention is insane. I can imagine. There are medical screening tents pierside to prevent possible cases from coming on board. Anyone who is sick is sent home. Yeah, I can imagine an enclosed environment like that is pretty it's a nightmare for not wanting the dreaded lurg to creep on board.
Well, I don't know if you've kept up. There was this story about the captain of one of these Navy ships who was removed from his post because he wrote a letter which then went public, in which he said that the commanding officers above him were being insane to keep a boat out on the water where they had people sick on board. And then, of course, that same boat, after he was dismissed, that boat now has a proper outbreak. Several hundred people on board are sick, plus that captain himself has become sick. Plus the Navy secretary had to resign for calling this guy naive and an idiot or something like that. But yeah, boats like that are not a great place to be right now. I think, we had people wanting to cancel out a Pirate Jam for that, but I had to remind them that when we're at Pirate Jam, we're like out in the sun, open air, we don't have air conditioning, we don't have closed cabins. So the type of environment compared to, like, say, a cruise ship or a military ship is quite different. I can see, why people would be concerned, but they're like cats and dogs night and day.
Yeah. Um, oh, here's one from Wendy J. Just generally about the stuff we've been posting. Says, wowza. There's a lot to unpack here. Just glad that work has continued on the most anticipated game in all of Wonderland. Glad everyone is safe at home too. Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah, thanks, Wendy.
Yeah. Similar sentiment here from Rachel Garza. Thanks for all the updates. Glad you are no longer on lockdown and can get back to some form of normality. Get in there with our funky Zoom stream setup, which seems to be working fairly well.
Don't say that.
Let's give this one a miss for the time being. We'll go to this one from Sarah Heist. Here's an actual question slash suggestion. What if there was an option for character selection after the first gameplay? Ability to play as someone other than Alice.
With that kind of design decision would have to be made like now, and because it would present so many different things that would have to change, and I think in a game that is as story driven and as dependent on the story of the main character, that kind of thing is going to be really difficult. Now, of course, what we did last time around was she had a hat, like a hatter dress, right? So for sure, I could imagine we will continue that theme of like you play through the game the first time, and then on the second go round, you have access to a bunch of dresses that allow you to sort of dress up as the other characters in Wonderland.
Yeah, definitely. Some new game plus shenanigans.
I mean, like Noxy Foxy says, playing Alice without playing Alice. I mean, yeah, it doesn't work for me. I no, just no. Sorry, Sarah Heist.
Trinity Delirium says beautiful print. Talking about the red one, I forget what that's called. Just have a quick. What was that called? How fine you look when dressed in rage.
Right.
I'm currently rewatching Halloween's playthrough of Madness Returns. I'm just curious if the Carpenter will appear. I assume in Asylum. Yeah, we did something with Halloween, didn't we? With Out of the Woods.
We did. Yeah, Halloween is cool. We all like Halloween very much, and yeah, he's still out there streaming. We follow each other on Twitter, so I catch up with him from time to time. So the question is if the Carpenter will reappear. Yes, the Carpenter will definitely have a place in Asylum, because I really liked the Carpenter in Madness Returns, and I think he's a great character, as I do think the Walrus is a great character. So having those two as a pair in this game makes a lot of sense. So yes.
Yeah. Elias, this is a reasonable question. I think we did a FAQ about this over on YouTube. Is there any update on the possibility of porting Madness Returns to the Switch?
That's a YouTube question.
Yeah, we did a FAQ about that, but it's basically, what did we say about the Switch? It probably does have the power to do Madness Returns.
I want to be careful. I'm pretty sure what we said was we would do it if we were allowed to. Right. I think the platform could support. One of the things, though, is that the first Alice, we may not ever be able to recover the source code. Or actually, there may be more of a chance of recovering that source code from the first Alice than from the second. Who knows? Anyway, look, I think ultimately, I'm a huge fan of the Switch. I'd love to see both games make it to the Switch. There are so many things in the way of making that happen. But if we can make it happen, we will. And I think that was the general answer for that one. So there you go. Speaking of Alice Madness Returns, I was just thinking that in order to qualify for many of the Twitch affiliate thingies, they want you to, like, for instance, stream on every single day of the week. So you've got to do Monday through Friday, one stream per day. And you also need to, like, do a certain number of hours in total. I suppose that if we're going to make Twitch our new home, and it seems to be working, we've only dropped a few frames and everybody seems happy. If we're going to make Twitch our new home, then perhaps I should actually play through Alice Madness Returns again here on Twitch. That's how we got started
Maybe.
on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah, we used to, back in the day, I don't know how, but we always used to find time to get like half an hour of like gameplay in there.
Yeah. So Roosevelt says you don't have to stream every day of the week. It's interesting because I just looked at the rules to become an affiliate and it said something like you need to do a stream on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. Like it doesn't have to be you have to do it all consecutively. So I don't know. I might want to go look at the rules again, or we might want to go look. Anyway, my point is those rules are enough to suggest that I could probably do an entire playthrough of Madness Returns again. And that might be a good way to kind of build up our place here on Twitch. So we'll see.
Yeah, I say as long as you hit 8 total hours across 7 days within a month, who knows?
That's I mean that's it. But it still does have to be 7. Anyway, Rosavov, I don't know. I don't know anything about Twitch. I probably read the thing wrong. I got the sense that you had to do a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday. Not necessarily consecutive, but within the month. Anyway, who knows? All right, that's probably about it. You got anything else? Because if you don't, then we can give away the last coin.
I was going to say there's one more little thing that I copied down here. Just Kelly W thanking us for providing some normalcy, like doing like Patreon updates and whatever. Hoping family and friends are okay and doing safe in this time of nonsense. So thanks, Kelly W.
Yeah, well, thank you to everybody who joined us here today as well. I feel bad that we were kind of away for so long, and I was a bit nervous getting back into it today because it has been so long. I'm glad everybody's kind of been patient and has stuck with us and has come over here to Twitch to join us again. So I don't know if anybody in the comments has any other questions they want to ask before we wrap up, but we are going to give away one more of these pirate doubloons. And before we do that, if you have a question or a comment or anything that you'd like to share, please throw that into the comments now. An eye on it there. Martin, what's the last and final question?
The last and final question. Again, this is going to be a fast one, so make sure you're all caught up with the stream and you got your typing fingers ready. Again,
give him a second.
Won, don't bother to start. What?
I was just saying, just give him a second after you say that. Everybody, get your finger ready.
Yeah, as Vic Reeves would say, we really want to see those fingers. Okay, here we go. You may know that we are in Shanghai, but where in China, which city was my first ever visit? Go.
I can hear them typing. They're just going to type like the first. Okay, no, Bangkok is not in. Oh boy.
There we go.
That's not Silver even. Yeah, Silver Jinx got it.
There we go.
All right. Leo 13, Bangkok is in Thailand, not in China. I'm sorry to say.
Gave us a laugh though, so thanks for that.
All right. Well, congratulations, Silver Jinxed. You did win, and so you've got to send an email to support@mysterious.design and include your name, your phone number, your mailing address, all the details necessary for us to send you your prize, and we will get that mailed out to you. For everybody who did win a prize today, please be aware that the postal services around the world are obviously extremely delayed. We've been told, what did they say last time about delays, like 30 days?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing I am ma'am saying that they got it first but spelt it wrong. I'm not sure I'm going to accept Beijing as the correct answer.
No, I'm not going to take that. You know why I am a ma'am is because the BEI that you've written there can actually be the start of, proper city names, and there can be like a lot of bay, because bay is what they say for north. And so there's lots of different bay something cities in China. And if you don't spell what comes after bay the right way, we have no way of knowing if you actually meant Beijing or not. So sorry to say, it did need to be spelt correctly. So now you know.
Sorry.
Next time. Next
Next
that's
time.
okay, ma'am. If you come back, you have a very good chance of winning something next time around. So who knows? Just come back, join in. Free prizes get mailed to anywhere in the world. Nothing to worry about. All right, everybody. I think that's it for today. And yeah, you got anything else?
Asks a relevant question. Is there something else that is something else Jing that is the south part?
Yes.
Nanjing.
Nanjing. Bei is north, Nan is south, Dong is east, Shi is west, and you actually have Dongjing is actually Tokyo. If you go to Tokyo and you look at the subway signs and it'll say this train is going to Dongjing, that is Dongjing, and Jing means capital. So when you say Beijing, you're actually saying north capital, the north capital city. Dongjing, in other words, Tokyo, is the eastern capital city. Xijing is not really, there's like Xi'an, but you do have Nanjing, which was the southern capital city. So yes, there are different places with various jings and directions in them. But you have tons and tons of cities with Bei in there. Beihai, Beinan, Beifang, Bei, I mean, it just bazillions, because it's all north something, right? So there you go. Now you know.
Yeah, well, nice little thing for everyone to learn today.
There you go. Learn some Chinese, because apparently the Chinese virus is taking over the world. Oh, that's not politically correct. All right. I'm in trouble now. I got to go to jail. All right, everybody. We will catch you again. I think we'll do this again next Thursday, and maybe Fauntlord will even be here and bringing coronavirus with him. So
yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out. We will see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Do we say the things like subscribe, slap like? What do people say on Twitch?
Slap like? What is that even? Slap like?
That's what people say, isn't it? Everyone's saying that
Punch
these days.
like? They don't say slap like. You made that up.
Do. I've seen it.
Oh my God, jib it up. Anyway, yes, there you go, Martin. If you go to AmericanMcGee.com, you can do the things. You can subscribe to the mailing list. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Oh no, F YouTube. We've got to fix that, replace that with Twitch. I'm really angry at YouTube. We do have a Patreon. That's how we fund all the amazing artwork that you've seen. We got to update these pictures. And we also have a store called Mysterious, where you can buy all kinds of crazy stuff like Alice-themed t-shirts and Oracle wallets and whatnot. So there you go. That's how you can support what we're doing and keep up to date with all the things that we're creating. Are you happy, Martin?
Yeah. Okay, not bad.
All right, everybody, jib it up. See you next week. Bye.
See you later.